Sono Mario Cristiani, fondatore di Galleria Continua e di Associazione Arte Continua con Lorenzo Fiaschi e Maurizio Di Gillo. Siamo qui a San Gimignano, tornati adesso da Venezia, dove abbiamo realizzato alla cura di Luca Massimo Barbero, allo Spazio Olivetti, la mostra del dialogo tra Antony Gormley e Lucio Fontana. Siamo qui appunto in questa nuvola che ha creato Antony, questo rapporto tra la massa e questa espansione come un disegno, diciamo, aereo, fatto col metallo, che ci riporta un po' a questa dimensione cosmica che lega il lavoro di Antony a quello di Lucio Fontana, che bene Luca Massimo Barbero, che è il più importante curatore di Lucio Fontana, ha raccontato a Venezia. Il lavoro di Antony è un lavoro sulla presa di coscienza, su dove in qualche maniera tu, essendo spazio cosmico, stai in relazione con tutti gli altri spazi cosmici vicino a te. Qui Antony a San Gimignano in questa occasione ha voluto anche legare un'attenzione a un discorso sulla materia. Qui in questa mostra per la prima volta vediamo appunto i diversi momenti della lavorazione del ferro. Il ferro è importante perché il campo magnetico che ci tiene con i piedi piantati in terra e ci fa stare con la testa in aria è proprio la forza di gravità.
This is a way of structuring air, you could say, structuring something that is transparent, but is not without mass. Space is a substance. I guess what I'm trying to do here is just give you an object that maybe is also a field, that as you move, you begin to engage, but also discover that your normal perspectival perception is confused. That was my ambition here, to make a ground for a kind of extended consciousness. As you look and as you move, this field continually changes and you almost begin to float. The subject of this exhibition is not in the work, it is in the viewer. I wanted to start with this conversation between space and body, energy and mass. But of course the main contrast is between this perceptual field that kind of confuses perspective with perspective, and this, which is 1.6 tons of mass. I've called it body because, well, it is a body, except that it doesn't have consciousness, we do. It doesn't have movement, we do. And between these two is the proposition of the exhibition. What interests me is that I have, in a way, collapsed and condensed this relationship between body and support. The head is supported by the arms, the body is collapsed onto the thighs, and the whole is collapsed onto a cube. And then it becomes one object, but an object that combines body and ground into one mass. And the mass is constituted out of these very, very clear, very sharp geometric volumes that follow the language of architecture, horizontal and vertical surfaces, clear geometric volumes. I decided to put this drawing of Grenfell Tower that burnt in London as a result of external cladding that didn't fulfill fire regulations. I felt they should leave it as a kind of memory of the people that died, but also as an object lesson in terms of our now chosen environment. There are two works in this show that are just made of 5 blocks. And this is not fixed, but what's the form? The third position in the Muslim sequence of prayer. We have a lot of earth material here to refer to the most concentrated position of the body in relation to the mass of the planet. If you had to translate this into a resonance, it would be Assay is often a chemical trial, it's about trying. But here, the part-whole relations are suddenly twisted. Suddenly, all of the orthogonality of the first work, even of the second, even though they are put into more dynamic relation, here they are twisted. The challenge with all of these works is how do you reduce the part-whole relations of a body into a very simple masses, but still manage to carry something of the attitude of a body. I wanted to contrast all of these different surfaces that in some way refer back to the elements and surfaces that refer forwards to industrial processes and forms of manufacture. This is called fall, and in fact identifies the space of a body, you could say, that is either free from or subject to free fall. In other words, where gravity is acting to the point where the body is no longer in contact with the ground. And here I'm describing the body and space as a continuum. I've put a matrix drawing in here in order to connect this with an idea of the spaces of our habitat, the spaces of architecture, and the spaces of the darkness of the body being somehow associated. This is the sajda, so the minimum position that the body needs to occupy, but now made at the scale of a house. I mean, this is a very simplified body. This is all about simplifying the body, using the language of geometry or architecture to redescribe the place that we live. I'm hoping that people will walk, in and through this structure. I'm using the auditorium. This is the space that normally the passive audience sits, waiting to observe the spectacle. But I like the idea that this then becomes a place where the viewer becomes the viewed for other viewers. It's a frame which perhaps we can occupy with life. This work absolutely reinforces the idea of the participant viewer. If Michelangelo's slaves are a meditation of the relationship of the block to the body as the place out of which a body is made, here we have the block almost as a thing to wrestle with. The block on top, beside, crushing, rolling, and yet all integrated into this absolute language. Here we've gone back to the complete orthogonality. Every single mass is in 90-degree relations to every other. This is 4 works in 1 or 1 work in 4, where they inform each other. Another sajda, so another minimal position, but now again built of many industrially finished parts. It's a funny thing that has happened in the work. As the work has become more geometric, and you could say more abstracted, in my view, it becomes more emotional. It draws us to respond more empathetically. And I guess I want people to kind of slow down and maybe recognize this, that here, built in the language of, you could say, the city, our built environment, is somebody that lies outside while being inside it. While expressing a dependency, it's nevertheless outside. This is the first piece where we've made a cast work but removed the mass. This is a cast space framework that refers back to this cube that is constantly in the show, but these are entirely free from each other. So this whole thing is a chain, a free hanging work that in some way denies gravity because it denies mass, but at the same time is made from exactly the same material as slump. I'm just thrilled about the relationship between this and its context, this void tower made of stone.